Yeah, we asked for that fight plenty of times, yo.
When?
Plenty of times.
What's plenty? When?
Man,
you frontin'.
Jaron Ennis has called out Terence Crawford plenty of times in the past. The two even had a heated argument on the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast where Ennis called out Crawford regarding this. This is how Crawford responded.
Hey, you fought Devin East and you could have fought me.
You jumped up out of my sanction body to go fight in the IBF, so what I know?
A lot of people have said that Crawford is ducking Ennis. The truth, however, is that Crawford isn't to blame here. According to Blue Blood Sports TV, Crawford isn't obligated to fight Ennis since he already has a rematch against Errol Spence, which is also a mandatory fight.
And now, everybody's saying that Terence Crawford is ducking Jaron Ennis. But he's contractually obligated to fulfill a rematch against Errol Spence.
So, is Terence Crawford avoiding the fight with Boots Ennis? Stick around and watch as we take a look at the precarious situation Crawford has gotten himself into. The boxing world is abuzz with the latest drama between two welterweight titans, Jaron Boots Ennis and Terence Bud Crawford. The tension has escalated since Crawford's victory over Errol Spence Jr. earlier this year, setting the stage for a mandatory showdown with Ennis. However, the anticipated matchup is shrouded in controversy, with accusations flying over whether Crawford is intentionally avoiding Ennis or if contractual obligations are to blame.
Yeah, we asked for that fight plenty of times, yo.
When?
Plenty of times.
What's plenty? When?
Man,
you frontin'.
Now, with Jaron Boots Ennis being the current IBF interim welterweight title holder, a bout against Terence Crawford, who is the current welterweight champion, makes complete sense. Following Terence Crawford's victory over Errol Spence Jr., Ennis's status as the mandatory contender was confirmed, setting the stage for a high-stakes confrontation. However, the path to this bout is mired in complexity. Ennis has been vocal about his frustration, accusing Crawford of evading a match that poses a significant threat to his dominance in the division. Ennis's journey to becoming the interim IBF welterweight champion was marked by a spectacular display of skill and power. In Atlantic City, he showcased why he is considered one of the most exciting prospects in boxing today. With a record of 31-0, including 28 knockouts, Ennis demolished Villa in the 10th round, proving his mettle as a champion and a serious threat to any opponent.
Hopefully we get these top guys, Bud, Spence, Ugas, Keith Thurman, Stanionis. Hopefully it's a one-sided fight and nobody get a rematch, and then I'll be next,
The controversy intensifies as Crawford is reportedly bound by a rematch clause with Spence, which some believe is being used as a shield to avoid facing Ennis. The boxing community is split, with some defending Crawford's legal obligations and others accusing him of ducking the formidable challenger. Ennis, meanwhile, is clear in his conviction that Crawford is avoiding him. In a post-fight press conference, Ennis expressed his readiness to take on other fighters if Crawford is unavailable due to the rematch clause with Spence. He mentioned the possibility of facing Eimantas Stanionis if the Crawford fight does not materialize, showing his willingness to continue fighting top contenders. Crawford has maintained that he is not avoiding any fighter, including Ennis. He has stated that the narrative of him ducking challengers is overplayed. Yet his focus on the Spence rematch has left many questioning whether he will honor the mandatory challenge posed by Ennis. Fans are eagerly awaiting a resolution to this drama, with many hoping to see a Crawford versus Ennis fight. Such a bout promises to be a thrilling encounter between two of the division's best, with Ennis's recent performance only heightening the anticipation. While the Crawford versus Ennis fight is an entertaining one for fans, Crawford is in a bit of a dilemma considering he has a rematch with Errol Spence around the corner. Blue Blood Sports TV, a prominent voice in the boxing community, has offered a detailed perspective on the unfolding drama. In a recent video, the host dissected the situation, emphasizing that Crawford is not ducking Ennis, but is legally bound to give Spence a rematch. The host criticized those who quickly accused Crawford of avoidance, pointing out the hypocrisy in the boxing community's reaction. According to Blue Blood Sports TV, the narrative that Crawford is avoiding Ennis is flawed. The host argues that Crawford has inherited Ennis as his mandatory IBF challenger after defeating Spence, but the rematch clause takes precedence. The host expresses frustration with the boxing fans who seem to be more interested in seeing Crawford lose than in the sport itself, suggesting that their support for Ennis is not genuine, but rather a means to an end. Blue Blood Sports TV also highlights the legalities of boxing contracts, with the host explaining that Crawford is contractually obligated to fulfill the rematch clause against Spence. This obligation is not a matter of choice, but a legal requirement that Crawford must adhere to. The host points out that fans who previously clamored for the Crawford versus Spence fight are now downplaying the importance of the rematch, revealing a bias against Crawford.
And now, everybody's saying that Terence Crawford is ducking Jaron Ennis. But he's contractually obligated to fulfill a rematch against Errol Spence.
Blue Blood Sports TV calls out the fans for their shifting allegiances, accusing them of being detractors rather than true supporters of the sport. The host suggests that the fans' desire to see Crawford face Ennis is driven by a deeper wish to see Crawford defeated, regardless of the opponent. This sentiment, the host argues, is indicative of a larger issue within the boxing fan base, a lack of genuine support for the fighters and the sport. In response to the accusations, Crawford has stated that the narrative of him ducking Ennis is played out. Blue Blood Sports TV supports this stance, explaining that Crawford is referring to the repetitive nature of the accusations rather than dismissing the potential fight with Ennis. The host emphasizes that Crawford's words are being twisted to fit a narrative that suits his detractors. Besides the rematch with Spence blocking any chances of a Crawford versus Ennis fight, Crawford has also stated another important reason why he isn't interested in fighting Ennis. The undefeated, undisputed welterweight champion has determined that fighting Boots doesn't make enough business sense to make the acknowledged risk worthwhile at this stage of his career. Crawford, who just turned 36 this September, essentially eliminated any room for speculation regarding boxing Ennis after his immediate rematch with Errol Spence Jr. during an appearance on The Breakfast Club. Listen, right now in my career, a lot of people like Boots this, Boots that, Boots this, Crawford told co-hosts DJ Envy and Charlemagne the God. You know, fighting Boots is a lose-lose situation. You know, I win, they gonna say, oh, well, he was young. He wasn't ready. You know, he was talented, he was skillful. But you got the experience over him. You got, so much more than this kid that never been tested before. Because we always seen him win with flying colors in an impressive way. To where we say, oh man, he's cold, he's skillful, but he's never been in the ring with nobody to test him.
Right now in my career, a lot of people like boost this, boost that, boost this. Fighting Boots is a lose-lose situation. I win, they're gonna say, oh, well, he was young, he wasn't ready. You got the experience, so you got so much more than this kid.
Philadelphia's Ennis is nearly 10 years younger than Crawford. Though undoubtedly an elite-level talent, Ennis hasn't fought an opponent nearly as complete, experienced, dangerous, or versatile as Crawford, 40, 0-31 KOs. A three-weight world champion who is #1 on BoxingScene.com's newest pound-for-pound list. Boxing legend Tim Bradley agrees with Crawford's statements regarding Ennis fighting Crawford. In an interview, Bradley said, "You kidding me right now? I respect Ennis. Listen, I respect Ennis, I love his pops is cool, his whole crew is tight. But who the hell has Boots fought? You can be riding that wave. You've been getting these knockouts of all these other different guys, but you've never been in the ring with an animal like Crawford." He continued. "And when you get in there, you get hit upside your head and you see you can't do the stuff that you usually do against the guys that you fought at the lower level. Bro, I would hate for him to get into that type of fight with Crawford. I would hate for him to get in this fight and look average." Bradley simply didn't dismiss Boots, however. He said, "Because if you go back and you watch a lot of, and he's a spectacular fighter, Boots is a spectacular fighter. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Boots. I think he's next. But he needs to be tested. He needs to be tested with a legit. He needs to be tested with a guy like Thurman. I wish Sean Porter was still around. He needs to be tested with a guy like Sean Porter, a Danny Garcia, veterans, top veterans out there that can punch, guys that can think with him. He needs to be tested with guys like that before I say, oh yeah, he ready for Crawford." He makes a lot of mistakes, shows a lot of inexperience rushing in there and trying to go for the kill, leaving himself wide open, leaving himself exposed. And there's a lot of things that come along with that. And guess what? When you get into the ring with a Crawford that knows how to use his feet, that knows how to move and let you come to him and so on and so forth, that's when he's gonna set you up. He's gonna lay a trap, and he's gonna catch you. He's gonna knock you out.
And guess what? When you get in the ring with a Crawford that knows how to use his feet, that knows how to move and let you come to him, and so on and so forth, guess what? He gonna set you up, he gonna lay a trap, and he gonna catch you, and he gonna knock you out.
You heard it here, folks. Y'all didn't believe me the first time, and you ain't got to believe me now. Have your own opinion, but this is my assessment from a fighter that, hey, Hall of Famer. I've done it. I've been in the ring with Crawford. Know what he's capable of doing, bro. Trust me. And I knew he would get to this point sooner than later. So, Crawford fighting Boots. Ennis doesn't make sense not only for the welterweight champion, but also doesn't make sense for Boots Ennis, who is still very inexperienced according to Bradley. But we'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think Crawford is intentionally avoiding Ennis? Is Bradley's explanation of Crawford's statement not wanting to fight Ennis right? Do let us know in the comments below. That's it for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the bell for the latest notifications so that you never miss out on videos like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.